Okay, guys. Well. I'll tell you what. We're dealing with this coup d'état in Guinea Bissau. We just heard, and by the way, today's November um, 26th of November, 2025. So we've heard about this coup d'état in Guinea Bissau. This is the 10th coup since 1974. Since 1974, this is the 10th coup d'etat in Guinea-Bissau. Either the 10th or the 11th, but I believe it's the 10th because um you guys can do research on that because last year they had one which was the ninth one and this is the 10th one. So there's been a coup d'etat, series of coup d'etats across West Africa. We see how it's going, right? Because the people don't trust this democracy anymore. They believe democracy is now a farce. It's a facade. It's these dictators are coming now, to capture and take over power again using democratic means, but don't practice democracy itself. So without much ado, at least let me share with you guys that news, and then we'll take it from there because I have other things I want to show you real quick because this is not going to be too long, but I want to share this with you guys so you guys can see.
Has been confirmed in Guinea Bissau. Now, earlier today, we.
All right. Let's see. Let's start
Guinea
from the top
Bissau.
here.
Right now, a coup has been confirmed in Guinea Bissau. Now, earlier today, we heard heavy gunfire outside the presidential palace just days after general elections took place. Let's have a listen to that. Crowds of people were seen running from near the palace. Two candidates have claimed victory ahead of the release of results on Thursday. The incumbent, Umaro Sissoko Embalo, is seeking a second term. He ran against opposition contender Fernando Diaz and 11 others. Let's go to our correspondent Nicholas Hack, who's live for us in Dakar in neighbouring Senegal. So, Nick, what exactly are you hearing about this coup?
What we heard from this press conference held at the military headquarters, where a group calling themselves the High Military Command for the Restoration of National Security and Public Order, effectively said that it discovered an ongoing plan to destabilize the country, saying with the participation of drug barons, and the aim was to destabilize the election results. Presidential election results were supposed to be announced on Thursday, tomorrow. And so they're just taking over power just as those results were going to be announced. Two main contenders, the incumbent president, Umaro Sissoko, and Fernandez Diaz, both claiming victory. Now, we don't know the whereabouts of the president, but what we know is that the presidential palace is heavily guarded as we speak, surrounded by the presidential guard, and we have the military deployed. There is fear that there could be ongoing violence. So during this communique, they announced that air, land, and sea borders are closed and a curfew in place in the country. Mali.
All right, guys. So that's what's going on in Guinea-Bissau. Even though the report that we're getting basically is that people don't really believe that the military actually took over. They feel like it's a palace thing. It's an arrangement because the incumbent president Sissoko knows that he has lost the elections. So people feel like the Guinea-Bissauians, they feel like they actually is making arrangements with the military so that it seems like if the military is taking over, but just because he doesn't want to hand over power to the opposition that won the elections. That's what people are saying. That is the anticipation people have. So we'll see as the days go by to see what comes out of this, if it's for real that the military took over, because again, you heard from the report, the presidential palace is heavily guarded by the presidential guard. Lately, across Africa, the dictators, they all have presidential guards now. Everybody has a presidential guard. That's what's actually happening. So but yes, we heard the presidential palace is heavily guarded. So if the military really took over, I mean, what's up with the presidential palace? It goes back to the same thing like in Sierra Leone, how they talk about November 26th, the fake coup thing, all right? Because if you were going after a president, how is it that you abandon the palace where the president lives or the lodge where the president lives, and then they call that a coup? I mean, the first target should be that person, the president, right? That's where they should go, real coup d'etat. So that's why people are feeling like this is some games being played, that it's not really the military, it is the president, the current incumbent president playing games with the military because the elections, might have been lost. And because it doesn't want to hand over power to the opposition, so they are thinking probably that's what is happening. But again, we don't know what's going on, right? Because again, there is no way a military coup, would take place in a country and the presidential palace is still being guarded by the presidential guard. We don't even know the whereabouts of the president. So people are saying in Guinea-Bissau that they are not sure of what is actually happening. So I just want to point that out there, right? But again, the truth would come out. You see, what I want to share with you guys, and I'm pointing this out because you all know Julius Maada Bio is currently the incumbent, on Democrat, illegal president of Sierra Leone. Julius Maada Bio is currently the chairman of ECOWAS, the chairman of heads of authority of ECOWAS. So is the of all the presidents, he's the chairman, because ECOWAS, they have the commissions, they have the parliament, all of that stuff, right? But he's the chairman of the heads of authority of West Africa, so ECOWAS. We would wait to see what he's going to say, because Guinea-Bissau is known for a lot of drug activities, and I'll get to that. But I want to play a video here of one of our members of parliament who was was not even legally occupying parliament at the time. Abdul Kagbo is currently the leader of the opposition in Sierra Leone, because I say this again, the parliament is unconstitutional, it's illegal because they themselves don't even have the vote. Put Loco, they don't even have the votes. So them being in parliament, they don't have the will of the people. Again, democracy and government, the people are the ones that grant power to governments. If you don't have the legitimacy, you don't have the authority and the power from the people, then it's not a government. So that is the problem. That's what we have. So Honorable Abdul Kagbo, I'm only saying honorable because he was once an honorable member of parliament. He was the leader of the opposition. When he went to ECOWAS, I think Maada Bio and the president of Guinea-Bissau, probably they had a beef. And this was what Honorable Abdul Kagbo said when he was giving the opportunity to speak at the ECOWAS Parliament. So I want to play this for you guys, so you guys can see this.
Honorable Abdul Kagbo, Sierra Leone.
I want you guys to listen to what he said about Guinea-Bissau and what was happening over there. But at the same time, we all know that Julius Maada Bio and in Sissoko, at some point they were buddies. But what happened? There was a little bit of a break. What happened? We don't know, right? There's a lot going on that we don't know. But I'm just going to play this for you because I want you to hear. Because Abdul Kagbo was representing Julius Maada Bio at ECOWAS at this point. It was actually doing their bidding to go against Guinea-Bissau. And he left everything that is happening in Sierra Leone. He did not talk about the rigged elections and all of that stuff. But anyways, let's listen to this. This is what Abdul Kagbo had to say at ECOWAS Parliament when he had the opportunity.
Mr. Speaker, I want to express my thanks and appreciation to the delegation from Guinea-Bissau. I have always said patriotism is not when you paint a false picture about your country. It's when you give the true picture so that ECOWAS provides solution to the existing problem in your country. And that is just what they have demonstrated here today. So I want to highly commend them for being sincere enough to tell the House as to what is obtaining in their country. Mr. Speaker, I've always said this. There are some problems in Africa, in West Africa, that are preventable. We should not be waiting until the problems are over-escalated before ever we intervene. I could remember that a tribunal was suggested here for the Gambia. And I have to ask myself, what was ECOWAS doing when Yahya Jammeh was committing those crimes in the Gambia until he finished his term? So are we waiting again for another tribunal for the president of Guinea-Bissau after he have completed his term and handed over power? It should not be the case. We should ensure that interventions are made to protect democracy. I could remember in the presentation of my colleague here, Honorable Sampson, he did say that some coup d'etats are precipitated by certain actions of government. How could a sitting president dissolve parliament twice? And there are clear separations of power. The executive is not expected to control parliament, the legislation. Likewise, parliament is not expected to control the judiciary. So until we allow that separation of power to be properly practiced in West African countries, then democracy will not be at its peak. So to me, I want to crave on the indulgence of this House to pay great attention to what is happening in Guinea Bissau. Let us ensure that they say a stitch in time saves 9. Let us ensure that proper modalities are instituted to remedy the political climate in Guinea Bissau. We should not be happy as a parliament for a country to be run without a parliament. There are critical decisions that need to be taken in that country without parliament. How can those decisions be taken? So this is very serious. It's very serious. And let me tell you, in Africa, they have that mentality of precedent. Once it's happened in Guinea-Bissau and nothing's happened, there is highly likely the tendency for another ECOWAS country to emulate the same. So it's better we arrest it. I rest my case.
All right, guys. So this was, as you guys can see, this was Abdul Kagbo, July 2024, last year, ECOWAS Parliament. And before you celebrating, because a lot of you seeing this now, want, oh, man, Abdul Kagbo saw it. You saw it. Yes, he saw it. But the fact is, at the time, we don't know what happened between Marabio and that guy. They were cool buddies before, Marabio attending activities in Guinea-Bissau. But what Abdul Kagbo did here was evade what was actually happening in Sierra Leone. Instead of him talking, later on he came out with videos when he was talking about, well, everybody had the opportunity to talk about something else. I decided to talk about Guinea-Bissau. And it was pointing out what was actually happening in Guinea-Bissau. And we've all seen that now. We've all seen that come full circle, right? Because again, remember, Guinea-Bissau, this is their 10th coup d'etat. This is the 10th coup that Guinea-Bissau has had since 1974. They had one last year. And Abdul Kagbo was talking there about the fact that the president, Sissoko, actually just dissolved parliament twice, right? And ECOWAS was sitting there doing nothing. So if this coup by the military, if it holds true that it's actually the military and it's not covered up in some nonsense, if it's not a cover up by the president currently because he has lost the elections and he's conniving with the military to take over power, so that we'll see how it goes. Because this man, they say, is heavily guarded. The presidential palace is heavily guarded. I mean, we know Africa. I mean, if it was a real coup d'etat, they should have evaded the presidential palace. They should be looking for that man. So that is why people are saying probably it's not a real coup. It's similar to what they said happened in Sierra Leone November 26th, where they said guys came to overthrow, Julius Marabio, but the presidential lodge was not touched. The presidential lodge was not touched at all. So is that a coup d'etat? But anyways, so that's where we're going with this, and I want you guys to understand that. So when I saw this coup thing, my memory said, oh, you know what? I have this video on Abdul Kagbo when he went to ECOWAS Parliament instead of talking about Sierra Leone's issue, because at the time, remember, we had the tripartite thing going on. Because this was around the time when the tripartite report was released, and Abdul Kagbo was the leader of the delegation. Was he the leader? No, I think SLPP is still, because they've lost all their. But anyways, Abdul Kagbo could not even sum up the courage and the gumption to talk about the tripartite recommendations or the tripartite reports that came out at that particular point in time, to let ECOWAS know that this man is APC. To let ECOWAS know that I'm looking forward to, the presidency gets handed over to Dr. Samora Kamara, who won the elections based off of the tripartite report, because both the convergence and divergence, it's stated very clearly that Dr. Samora Kamara won that election. So when I saw this coup d'etat, in Guinea-Bissau, that video came to mind. So that's why I played that video. So they know, they saw the early warning signs. People like Honorable Abukag were at least, well, again, I say honorable because it was back then. He's currently not an honorable member of parliament, but he was a honorable member of parliament. This man is in power, he's in parliament, and does not even know who voted for him or how many votes he had. So it's not a legally, constituted parliament. The parliament is illegal in Sierra Leone, just like the presidency is illegal. I want to make that very clear. So this is what is actually happening. So let's continue listening to this.
Context here, because Guinea-Bissau, one of the poorest countries in the world, in Africa, what does this mean now for ordinary people in the country?
It is one of the poorest countries, but it is also what the United Nations, but also U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency call a narco state, one of the biggest narco state in Africa. Why? Well, because it's on the western point of the African coast, and Latin American drug dealers use Guinea-Bissau to funnel cocaine that then is led and sold on the markets in Europe. And so in this communique, it really points to the fact that the drug traffickers were involved in this election, and that's what they were trying to thwart.
Are you guys listening? For Sierra Leoneans these people that won in elections, the APC particularly so, right? They won in elections, and they said because of one man, because Dr. Samara Kamara took a meeting with Marabio, and that is why they don't want the elections victory that they have. They're going to move on to 2028. Do you see what it's like to have, drug cartels in your country? In Sierra Leone, we have Boleos, Jos Leidekkers, the biggest drug lord in Europe. We have him in Sierra Leone, dating Marabio's daughter. These guys are playing with millions and millions and millions of dollars. They can take over your country easily. And that is what has happened in Sierra Leone. These guys have taken over. If they have the president, who's left? Nobody's left. So Jos Leidekkers has taken over Sierra Leone completely. The drug lords have taken over Sierra Leone completely. And this is what is happening in Guinea-Bissau. And the people of Guinea-Bissau know that Guinea-Bissau has been this hub also for the drug trafficking. And the people are concerned that in the elections that was held, the drug barons have actually bought the elections. They were involved in the elections because they want to make sure they protect who's protecting them. Because they know that if the current president Sissoko loses the election, then definitely they are no longer safe in that country. Except if the incumbents are going to be the same people that would come and encourage drugs in their nation, because these drug dealers have monies to play with. All they have to do is just take $5-10 million cash and give it to some of these politicians. They might even encourage them again, but they don't want to play that game, right? So they want to get involved in our democracy. They want to get involved in your politics in the country. That's how bad it is for us to encourage these drug dealers. And Sierra Leone has become today again another hub with Jos Leidekkers, the biggest drug lord in Sierra Leone, and they're going to interfere with future elections in Sierra Leone. And therefore, the APC as a political party is toast. It's toast. I say it again, it's toast. We've seen what is actually happening. We saw what happened in Tanzania. Over 3,000 people lost their lives. We've seen the reporting done by BBC to showcase exactly the situation as it is, how people were killed. Timeline for timeline, doing investigations so that they can show. We know that these guys are despotic. We know that in Tanzania, the Ugandan military was actually called into Tanzania, and they committed some of those killings, killed Tanzanian people. The reports are coming out, testimonies from people themselves, talking about this, seeing and hearing the accents of Ugandans coming into Tanzania and killing Tanzanians. So these guys are going to partner with each other across West Africa if the people don't do what they're supposed to do and fix it. Like Sierra Leone is a dead case at this point. There is no hope for Sierra Leone except if somebody's going to come and rescue that nation. These guys are despotic. They are thinking about how to continue to hold on to power because they know what they have done. And they know that if anybody comes and take over power, they'll be prosecuted, they'll be chased forever. They know that. They know there are people like myself that have the receipts to show, and we can produce the receipts any day, anytime. They know about the killings, the assassinations, the thievery, the corruption that has gone on for so long in that nation since 2018 when they came to power. They know they are going to face prosecution. And so they're going to do everything they could. They have the drug lords. Marabio's daughter is dating Boleos. They know what they are doing. So it's not going to be an uphill. It's going to be an uphill battle. It's not going to be easy to get these guys out of power. And that is why this current APC, they're talking about moving on to 2028. Instead of them grasping and holding on to their victory they have, the June 24th, 2023 elections. If one man They've already decided to say, because that one man held a meeting with Marabio, that's the end of it. They are moving on. But this is what is actually happening. Let's listen to this. Let's listen to this.
Drug money has infested both the political arena but also the military itself. A couple of years ago, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency put up a sting that involved the naval chief of the country, accused of trafficking tons of cocaine through the country. But of course, none of that wealth is going to ordinary people. Most people live in poverty. And so during this election process, we saw both the incumbent president and the challenger saying that they would distribute more wealth, that their circumstances.
But that is what is actually happening. That is how the drug people have taken over, the beautiful country of Guinea Bissau at this point in time. It's over. It's over. So we don't know if this coup in Guinea Bissau, if it's really by the military or it's organized by the incumbent president just so that he doesn't hand over power. We don't know that. So we are waiting to see as the days unfold, as the hours and days unfold, we'll know the real story behind this. And if it's for real, if it's the military that is taking over. But that is what the people want to see, because the people are fed up. Excuse me. The people are tired. The people know that the democracy is not working anymore. They're not protected. They've been left alone. They're by themselves. Nobody really cares about what they do, how they survive. It's survival of the fittest. I saw a documentary recently in Sierra Leone where they're selling body parts. That has been going on for years and years and years. But at least it's on BBC now. So Sierra Leoneans, I'm saying this to you again. If you're one of those people that are saying, oh, Bo, leave us alone. 2023 is over. Marabia is the president. Move on to 2028. You are APC as an example. The biggest opposition who won that elections. You got it coming. And you're not going to have people like myself, like we did leading up to the June 24th, 2023 elections. The amount of work we put in, myself, Cashbox, Comrade Koita, the amount of work we put in, People's Power, brother, the amount of work that we put in leading up to the elections of June 24th, 2023. At a time when some people that were supposed to listen and learn did not listen and learn. We pointed out everything that was going to happen. We told you guys that they were going to rig the elections. We told you about the 250,000 names that have been removed from the voter register. We talked about all of these things. We shared with Sierra Leoneans. We said, hold your parliament accountable. And they rigged the elections again. We all saw that. So what makes you think 2020 is not going to be the same? It's going to be the same. What makes you think it's not going to be the same? That is what is going to happen. So I wanted to share this with you and let you all know. Yes, Abdulkagwe, when he was in ECOWAS Parliament in July 2024, did say something about, take a look at Guinea-Bissau. But why not in Sierra Leone? It's part of a very despotic and crazy and useless and illegal government currently is sitting in Parliament, whilst the people are crying for their elections. And there was something that Alfred Peter Conte said in a video that I was watching earlier today. It mentioned the fact that, elections should not be about negotiations. And I'll share that with you because I want you guys to hear that. All right. I'm going to share that with you guys. Let me put it on the screen here because it's very important for us to, show things like these. We cannot have elections where the votes of the people should count. However, what is happening is the votes of the people don't count.
You go get verdict
it is
in one court.
Only the
person know they appeal. But he can
listen to this.
They say, we don't do them. You go get verdict in one court. The person know they appeal because you can appeal after verdict. After verdict, you get, I think, 3 weeks for appeal. You get time for appeal. So if you don't appeal, you verdict. Then you go to another judge of equal competence. You understand? And the other judge, they go reverse waiting the other incumbent do. It not they happen no sign at the wall, na salon no more. Like Bakutin, they will not they happen no sign at the wall, na only salon.
So who should man the affairs of the APC party now? Is it the National Executive or the Interim Committee?
Listen to this.
The Interim Committee. Now we have a de facto executive. Okay, this de facto, then they're all over the place. They're able to secure the votes of the people. They're able win election. They win election and say they don't left them. In fact, the actions they will then take, it contravene the Sierra Leone constitution. In this country, okay, in this country, power, not to by negotiation, not by vote.
Right there.
You remember when it contravened the Sierra Leone Constitution.
Listen to this.
In this country, okay, in this country, power, not to by negotiation, not by vote.
Thank you.
You remember?
Thank you. I wanted to share that with you guys. Let it play a little bit more.
I think some unrest be happen. I don't know if not the coup or the protest. The president came out and say, waiting. He say, yeah, if anybody want power, not through the ballot box. You understand? So he's self-aware, say, now through ballot box, power is changing. But any other approach where somebody use, like waiting and they do so, then go negotiate. According to Lansana Doumbouya, a letter we write to me, November 26. I think the thing come on November 27, 2024. But in that letter, it said then, this de facto some people's Congress executive, don't go meet, okay? Then don't establish communication line, negotiation with the ECSL. So in other words, election now in this country, they want to tell we say na negotiate, then they negotiate. No. Democracy in a vote, government of the people, by the people and for the people, not to negotiation. I ask the ECSL for produce the result. Constitutionally speaking.
That was the 2023 elections.
Yes.
Okay.
You can't have an election without a result. That means the election is inconclusive. There is no joke. There is not a thing for laugh. If you vote on all of this studio vote. We have to ask for a result because we all have full mandate in this country. That's what we look like. We are stupid fools. Excuse me language because they ask me. You know, we go conduct election. Okay? You announce the winner. Then in your statement.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to share that with you guys because, you know, Alfred Peter Conte going to the country, I think a lot of people, you know, it was sad. It was sad that people that said they believed in electoral justice or people that believed in the presidency of Dr. Samora Kamara, the fact that they could not see the vision asking for the result, you know, of the June 24th, 2023 elections. This man was organizing town hall meetings, going to communities to energize the base so that the people would, you know, ask for their results. And unfortunately, you had people not making the main thing the main thing. It was sad, but it is what it is at this point. You know, they did everything they could to discourage the brother because, you know, you're not going to hold meeting people that they attend. Then what's the point in doing all of that? Because then they tell people, they say, but man, can we go behind? You know, it wants to take us back. We're fast asking for the results. We are just waiting on the inauguration of Dr. Samora Kamara. This is how they deceive the people and they could not join Alfred Peter Conte. But that is not the conversation here. But I just want to show you guys why Africa is the way it is. And look at Guinea Bissau now. There is a coup in Guinea Bissau. The military has taken over, but we don't know how true it is because the presidential palace is still untouched. So if the military is taking over, how's the presidential palace untouched? These guys are taking their playbooks from each other. It is the same thing that happened in November in Sierra Leone when they said it was a coup d'etat. It is the same playbook that the guy has taken from Julius Maada Bio and applied in Guinea-Bissau. Presidential palace, no touch, no weapons fired, nothing. But they fired all over the place, and they said the military has taken over. But we are watching to see how it's going to unfold over the next few minutes, the next few hours, the next few days, and this and that, right? This is what they're doing. The dictatorship across Africa is taking hold. They are taking the playbook from each other. They are looking at what the other person is doing and say, we're going to do the same thing that they're doing. That is what is actually happening. So democracy is dead in Africa, especially West Africa. Democracy is dead. I saw a video of a Liberian brother, you know, sharing some of the roads in Liberia, and they were calling on Honorable Yeke Koloba to say, look at this, Honorable Yeke Koloba. You told us to vote for Boakai. If we vote for Boakai, it's going to make these roads. So across Africa, it's dead. Democracy is not there anymore. It's loose for everybody. And that is the thing we're saying. And that is why people like myself were coming here. By the way, if you haven't followed, you know, make sure you follow, share these videos so other Africans would learn. Because that's what I do. It's about waking up the continent of Africa so our brothers and sisters could pay attention to their politics in their various countries. Because if you don't get involved in their politics, you're going to have mediocres in charge. And this is what we get. That's why we have drug lords coming over across the country. Look at Guinea-Bissau, a lot of drug lord situation. In Sierra Leone, we have drug lord in there. You know, I saw this publication from Guinea-Bissau. Let me read this for you guys so you guys can see what I'm talking about, because, you know, we're not making stuff up here about anybody. So this is a BBC report. You know, police seized 2 tons of cocaine in Guinea-Bissau. This was September 2024. You know, so this was a police report that came out. And they're making it clear that authorities in Guinea-Bissau say they have seized 2.63 tons of cocaine. That's nothing compared to what they've been finding across, you know, from Sierra Leone to Scotland and all these cases. I don't know if you guys are following stuff like that. You know, the plane had come from Venezuela. The Reuters news agency reports citing a police statement. So you see, planes are coming. These same planes that are coming from Venezuela are coming back to Sierra Leone. Same thing. They are all the same network. So Guinea-Bissau is a hub. Sierra Leone is a hub. We have Joost Leidekers, who's wanted by the Dutch government. He's dating Marabio's daughter. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't have to even explain all of that stuff. On Saturday, at least 78 bales of cocaine were discovered, which local reports say is the largest drug seizure in the country's history. You know, the West African country is known as a key transit point in global drug trafficking. This has led to the UN to calling it a narco state. Same like Sierra Leone has been called a narco state by the Drug Enforcement Agency in the US. You know, a local newspaper has reported that the plane was registered in Mexico. You see, a plane from Venezuela registered in Mexico. All 5 of the crew members were detained, including the pilot. Among those in custody are 2 Mexicans, 1 Colombian, 1 Ecuadorian, and 1 Brazilian. The suspects were due in court on Monday. We don't even know what happened after that, right? Authorities say the seizure, which was dubbed Operation Landing, was done in close cooperation with the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, you know, and the Maritime Analysis and Operation Center Narcotics, a European organization. But anyways, this is Guinea-Bissau. This is what is actually happening there, you know. It's a narco state. It's a drug state. So now politics, the drugs money has gotten into the politics. And hence the people have no confidence in the system. But now they said the military has taken over. And we are watching to see what's actually happening. Because we don't know if it's really a real takeover or it's just a facade. You know, covered up by the incumbent because it doesn't want to hand over power, you know, to the opposition who has won the elections. Because it's very clear that the opposition would have won the elections in Guinea-Bissau. So I just want to point out these things to you guys so you guys can see exactly what it is. But we are watching the situation as it unfolds to understand exactly what it is, and we'll take it from there. But I just want to share this with you. Thank you, guys. I know I got to go. All 41 of you, make sure you share. If you're watching me on Facebook, if you're watching me on YouTube, make sure you share. Just don't watch and keep it to yourself. Believe me, there are lots of our brothers and sisters that need this kinds of education and needs this kinds of information. We have to stand up to protect democracy in Africa. It is dying. We cannot sit back as young people and watch these dictators, wannabes, you know, take over the continent and continue to destroy the continent for the people. We shouldn't allow it to happen. We should, with, you know, and we've been doing a good job. We've been doing a great job, even with, you know, with what is actually happening in you know, like with Tanzania. We saw the youths standing up to Tanzania, right? To the Tanzanian government. They were massacred, but they stood up, you know? So that is what they're using. They're using weapons now against the people, you know, to scare us so we don't stand up and challenge the status quo. That is what they're doing now. And we have to continue to push. We have to continue to, you know, make a case, you know, continue to speak up, you know, use our voices, you know, and let these people know that we will not, you know, back up. We saw what happened in Cameroon. They're using, again, military against the people. We saw Nepal, what is actually happening there. They're doing the same thing, you know. So we have a responsibility to continue to stand up as young people in Africa, because that is why we're going to continue seeing more coups, because democracy is not working anymore. Democracy is dead. It's not working. It's unreal. It's a farce. It's a scam in a lot of African countries. We have few exceptions. We have like Botswana where they have elections and it's very free and fair. I think I would only stand for Botswana at this point. You know, we saw what happened in Ghana as well. Free, fair elections. You know, but you look across Cameroon, Madagascar, Mozambique, you know, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, you know, Nigeria, all of these countries, you know, where we're hoping, you know, for democracy to stay, but they're killing democracy. And that is why we continue to see more coup d'etats, and we'll continue to see more coup d'etats because the people, like, again, it happened in the 90s. Military came, people got tired. They say we want democracy. In the 2000s, now we have the democracy, but no, democracy is not working. We're backtracking again. We're backsliding, and the military has a responsibility. And I don't care where you're watching me from. Go check your country's constitution. Every country's constitution has a provision for the military to safeguard the achievements of the people, which is what the Guinea-Bissauans have done. This is what Ibrahim Traore did. This is what the Mali guys did. This is what the Niger guys did. And likewise, Burkina Faso with Ibrahim Traore. But that is what people want. The African people want to see leaders that are going to come and bring their dreams to fruition now. Leaders that are going to come and have empathy and sympathy for them. That is what they're looking for in Africa at this point in time. Because we are on our own. The international community, they're not going to come and help you. Watch what ECOWAS is going to say now. They're going to come up with a statement condemning the coup, right? But when the drug narcos, the drug lords and, are doing their thing in these countries, they wouldn't come out and condemn these governments. No, you would never hear them condemning these governments, right? But at the end of the day, when, military take over or the people take over, that's all they do and come and condemn the coup. You're going to see statements from ECOWAS, from African Union. You're going to see all these statements coming. But when it comes to the welfare of the people, they don't care. But when it comes to one of their own dictator brother or sister, that is when they all come and put out messages and put out, condemnation notes to say we are not supportive of this kind of thing. That is what is actually happening. And we have to understand this. And that is why we, the African people, my brothers and sisters in the continent of Africa, you have to stand up. Don't be afraid. Keep speaking up. Challenge the status quo. It's going to come to a time in Africa we're going to start seeing rebel wars again because people are going to take up arms against these, illegal governments. They're going to take up arms against these dictators. We're going to see it across West Africa. It's going to happen. It wouldn't be too long. We're going to see these things happening because these guys are not making provisions for democracy to work. Because if there is, no confidence, if there's no trust in the democracy itself, then the people have no more hope. When they talk, you lock them up. When they speak up, you beat them. When they vote, you steal their vote. So at this point, the people have nothing to fall back on. It's like a cat. If you push the cat to the wall, what's going to happen? The cat is going to want to fight back. And that is what is actually happening. And so it's going to get to that again. There's going to be rebellions, rebel wars. But these rebel wars that you're going to see in Africa over the next few years, it's going to be very strategic and it's going to be very dastardly and bad because they're going to be targeting only political figures. So family members, speak up to your brothers and sisters that are in power because they're going to come for you guys. That is what the wars in Africa, the upcoming wars in Africa, that is what it's going to look like. It's going to be done with strategic precision and surgical precision to excise politicians, their families, their communities. That is what is going to happen in Africa. I'm predicting all of these things to you because we know it's going to happen. The same, means that you have to buy weapons, people can buy weapons as well. And they can say, we're going to stand up for our freedom, and it will be justified. There will be no ECOWAS, no AU, no African Union, nothing that can stop the power of the people when that time comes. Because now that they are killing democracy, you guys are not saying anything about it. You don't care. You're on your own. You're doing what you want to do. You're protecting yourselves. You don't care about the people's will. You don't care about the desires of the people. Some of these countries are rich in oil and other natural resources. Those resources do not translate to the people. So this is what is happening. And that is why we continue to see more coups. But like I was saying, check your country's constitution. The military has a responsibility to safeguard and protect the achievements of the people. And what is this achievement? It is democracy itself. Your vote is a sacrosanct tool. Your vote is so precious. There is no amount of money that should be able to buy your vote. Your vote is how you can determine the future of your generations yet unborn. That's how powerful your votes are. So if the last power that you hold is your vote, and they are taking it away from you, what else do you have? And what else can you do? And that is where Africa is. And I know the people are going to stand up and they're going to defend their democracies. So if the coup d'etat in Guinea-Bissau, if it is really true that it's done by the military, I hope they'll do right by the people of Guinea-Bissau, like Ibrahim Traore is doing to transform Burkina Faso. Otherwise, it's a vicious cycle. They're going to be there. And then people are going to cry again 3-4 years from now. Oh, we want democracy. We want democracy. Because again, the African mindset, right? They're thinking about their brothers coming to power, because the thing in Africa, once the people don't have access to the power, they want to have access to the power. Because when the military is in control, it's only only a minute segment of the population that benefits, And then once they start getting hungry and their pockets start getting dry, they start asking again for democracy. Democracy comes, it's going to be another vicious wave. This is the same cycle. So I wish, really it's the military taking over, and they have that Pan-African mentality, and their vision is about the people and transforming their countries so Africa can look like Europe, so Africa can look like America, and people can live the life that they deserve. That is the vision, and that is what we are all yearning for. All right. So I want to leave it right here, guys. Thank you for joining me. Share, and let's pass the word around. Okay? Bye-bye.